Hi, this is Lynn from Manajan's Herbals, and tonight we're going to talk about magic. One of the requests that I had when I asked for classes was how to set up your altar, and also to talk a little bit about offerings. So that's what we're going to do tonight, is set up a couple of different altars. Now, the reason for an altar is to help you focus and to have a place to keep your magical items. I have the good luck to have an entire room that I dedicate to my practice. And so I have a large altar. This altar is about probably 4 feet long and about 2 feet or 18 inches wide. It is, but your altar can be anything. It can be the top of your dresser. It can be the top of a shelf. It can be something that you put up and you take down every time you use it. It is what works for you in your current situation. It is, there is no right or wrong way to have an altar. It is, if it speaks to you and what you put on it speaks to you, you're a success. And that's great. Now, this is a picnic basket, and in this picnic basket, I keep all of the items that I use when I go to the parks and do public ritual. And so it's always in here, it's always together, and I put it up and I take it down at the beginning and the end of ritual. And some of the items we're going to actually use to put on this altar as well. And so you can see different options. Now, a very small altar, generally what you put on your altar, let me start there. Generally what you put on your altar is something to commemorate the quarters, something to commemorate the god and goddess, or either or. Something that you would also put on the on your altar is something that represents the work that you're going to be doing. So if you're doing candle magic, a candle and a picture of what it is that you want would be a good place to have it. Now, set up right now, I've got the I've got a what do I have here? An abalone shell. This is a complete altar. In terms of the shell represents the west. The salt that is in the bottom of the shell represents the earth, which is north. The fire, the charcoal that you would put in here to burn the incense represents the south. And the herbs that you're going to burn for incense is going to represent air and the east. The bowl of the shell is also reminiscent of the feminine and the womb, and the tripod with the top pokey top here represents the masculine and horns. So there you go. If you have just a little space, there's a complete altar. It is very easy to do that. Now, typically what I do with my altars is I use candles. So, we have got a yellow candle holder, a little yellow jar that I put votive, not votives, I put tea lights in. And there's yellow for east. There is green for west, or blue for west. There's green for north. And there's red for south. If I'm going to put both the god and the goddess goes on the left as I'm facing it. And here is a candle with the moon on it, which is reminiscent of the goddess. And here is the sun, which would represent the god, and he would go on the right. So again, pretty much a complete altar. Now, I typically keep my cauldron in the corner because I oftentimes burn things. And so if you open this up, you're going to see a lot of ashes that are in there. And it is because that's where I burn. So when we do the full moon rituals up here, this is where I burn my release. If I do it downstairs, I burn it in my fireplace. So that is always on there. Now, because I have candles, I will have usually a couple of lighters because I don't have really good luck with lighters, and a candle snuffer. So that's going to go on here as well. We're going to take a second here because I'm going to show you something new and different as well. You don't need to have candles, okay? You can have other representatives of the quarters. So you can put a mermaid or a fish or a shell in the west. You can put a fairy who flies through the air in the east. You can put feathers. You can put birds in the east. That all works. I've got a tiny little pink teddy bear that is an occupant of Earth, and so he's not going to stand up. There you go. So he would be representative of the North and Earth. Also, you could put a troll, or you could put a gnome. That would work. And I've got this very cool dragon that is a fire-breathing dragon, and so he would go in the south. So then you don't even need to light the candles. You would have something of that nature set up, and that would work. I usually have an offering plate, and mine is one that has a pentacle on it, and that would go over here. I would have also a libation bowl or chalice. I don't have a chalice up here right now, but I do have a libation. So if you're doing cakes and ale at the end, that's where you would put your cakes and ale. Your ale here, your cakes here. Cakes and ale can be anything. It can be soda crackers and water. It can be wine and cake. It just works for what you want it to. So in February, when we do Imbolc, your libation, your drink, can be milk, because that's when the cows start being refreshed, and you get milk at that point in time. So those are things you can do. You could put a rock or a crystal in the north. Anything that reminds you of what that element is. So that makes it real easy. I think that I oftentimes will have something from the time of the year. So up until just now, I had my yellow ribbon from Litha that was here on the table. I have my corn dolly from Llamas that I keep on it. And I have the Spirit of the Harvest that I will keep on it. Now, this is getting really full, so, you kind of watch how much you've got on it. I usually also keep my wand. This is a healer's wand. It's made with lilac, and it was gifted to me by a wood carver. I have Abalone, which is used to cut herbs, and is generally white. And I have an athame. Now, traditionally, athames are black, and I've got several knives over here that I can use as an athame. But I really liked this one. I got it at the Stillaguamish Festival of the River, and it's got beautiful wood in the inlaid on it, and so this is what I use mostly as my athame, and I'll keep my athame here as well. If I am doing magic for somebody other than myself, I will have candles that I put out for what are called petitioners, and so those would go here in front, right by, and then oftentimes there'd be a picture or something reminiscent of what kind of magic I am doing for them. This is pretty much the setup. So it is, you cannot do it wrong. The only way you can do it wrong is if you have the quarters mixed up and you put blue in the east and you put yellow in the west. Otherwise, there's no right or wrong. It all works for you. Now, offerings, all plants and herbs and flowers have magical properties. And I try generally, when I am going to do an offering, I try to match the offering with what it is that I am asking for. So yesterday, for the new moon, we were looking at new beginnings and protection and wish magic, and so I used bay leaves. If I was looking for prosperity, I would use patchouli leaves or parsley leaves. If I was looking for love, I would use roses or lavender. It is, that gets into a whole herbal knowledge thing of what herbs work for what magic. Now, generally, the offerings will go to the earth. And it is, so what I do, it depends on where I am. So when we're in Langus Park doing the new moon, I look at that as a water-related ritual. And so we take the botanicals that we have, and we put it, we spiral dance down the pier, and we drop it into the river. Now, it's always something that is river friendly. So it's a plant, a flower. We've actually done some stones because crystal stones have magical properties as well. I remember at one point we actually dropped rose quartz, little tiny pieces of rose quartz into the river because we were looking for self-love and healing. And it is here at my house, I don't have a river flowing in my yard, which is a good thing. And so what I do is I'll put it in a bowl of water, and that bowl of water is what I will then take outside and pour it. I've got two grandmother cedar trees. No, they're not cedar, they're fir. Two grandmother fir trees that I will go and pour the water and the offering out at their feet. It is the gods and the goddesses will take the energy from the offering, and then if it is food, you will, the birds and the squirrels and whoever wanders around your yard will take the physical and offering and use it to their benefit. If you have cakes and ale, you always save some of the cake and ale and again put it out at the earth. Now when we do ritual at the shop, which is like the culmination of the first year of Magic 101, we generally will do ritual in the shop, and then I take it out. Right in front of the shop there's 2 trees, and so I take the offering, or the group that's doing the ritual will take the offering and go give it to the tree that is outside the store. Typically we will give it to the tree that's the largest, so that it has a better ability to process the energy than a baby tree. Just like, you know, you have a better way of processing the energy than a child does. And so that's kind of what we do. That's where we go. I believe the other thing that goes on my altar, because of the way that I cast my circle, I have 3 small bowls. Now, typically when I'm here, I cast my circle, I walk the perimeter 3 times. I first of all will cast with salt, which is purifying and protection, and so there's a little bowl of salt. Then the second time I go around, it's with water, and I'm not going to tip this because there's water still in it, but that's the water bowl. And this is the incense. And so these actually, if you look at these, I'm casting the circle with the elements of the quarters. Salt is earth, water is water, and the incense is fire and air. So we've used all of those. Now you can do other things. Again, when you're casting a circle, you can sweep it with a broom. You can walk around with your wand. You can sing. We did that for Lammas. We sang around the circle. And it is, so there's, again, pretty much anything that you can do is going to be right and okay as long as it resonates with you. So actually, here's a chalice. So here's a chalice or a bowl if you want for the ale portion of your cakes and ale. Generally people will set up an altar to face either the north or the east. North is stability and the North Star. East is new beginnings because that is where the sun rises. But if you are doing specific magic, if you're doing a love spell, you can face the west, so that, because west is water and emotions. If you are doing a communication spell, you can have your altar face the east, because not only is that new beginnings, but it's communication and talking and air. If you're doing a love spell, you can face the south. It all depends on what feels good to you. And that's the best thing. The best thing about the craft is that there's no hard and fast rules. The worst thing about the craft is there's no hard and fast rules. And so you oftentimes second guess yourself, and am I doing this right? And the answer is, if it feels good, yes, you're doing it right. You don't need to have an altar that looks like mine. Matter of fact, that would be kind of weird if it looked exactly like mine. If you, anything that you have, whether it's just the 4 elements and that's it, that's good. That works out well. I mostly practice with the goddess versus the god. And so I don't have a lot of elements here that look to the god. But this is a moonstone, and you see this every time we do one of the moons, and that is a representative of the goddess. And then this is the ubiquitous goddess. She is the goddess. She's the lady. She is not a specific goddess, and so those are sometimes things that I'll put out as well. So I do believe that's about all I have to say right now. And it is, so if you have questions that I didn't answer, post them here so that I can answer them as soon as we hang up. And if, and I'm going to actually bring you over here a little closer to the table so that you can see a little bit better everything that is here. So this is the spirit of the harvest. This is the corn dolly right here, and this is the ribbon from Litha. The fairy and the yellow candle for the east. The lighters, the candle snuffer, my bolin, my athame. This is the god. This is the offering plate. There's the bear and the green candle for the north. This is the chalice or the bowl for the ale. And there is the ubiquitous goddess. There's the moonstone for the goddess. And there's the candle for the goddess. My cauldron. There's all the ashes. And here is the mermaid and the blue for water. There's my wand. There's the salt, the water, and the incense. This one and this one are the petitioner candles. And here is the red candle and the dragon for the south. And then there's the abalone shell that represents all of them. So, hopefully that worked for you, and thank you for listening to what I had to say. If you have any questions, again, go ahead and put it down. We're going to be back on Monday for, whoops, I just tipped over the fan. We're going to be back on Monday with a Meatless Monday. I haven't yet decided what it's going to be, but I think it's going to be good. The nachos on Monday were really good. And then last night I ended up doing corn and potatoes on the charcoals, just like I did the nachos, and they were excellent as well. Thank you for coming, and if you have time, come stop by the shop. We're open from noon until 5, Tuesday through Saturday, and I'd love to see you. Take care. Bye-bye.